Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Robert Bellissimo at the Movies, a film video podcast which explores all the ways in which stories are told on film. My guest today is actor Chris Caldovino. You'll know him as Billy Leotardo from The Sopranos, and of course, Tonino Sandrelli from Boardwalk Empire. It's also has appeared in many television shows, which include 24, The Good Guys, and feature films like Brooklyn Rules and Martin Scorsese's Wolf of Wall Street. And just out now, he has a film called Made in Chinatown, which we're going to talk about as well. So, Chris, thanks again so much for doing this today.
Thank you for having me, Robert. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I wanted to go all the way back because I know you're born in Brooklyn. What area of Brooklyn are you from?
Marine Park. It's near Sheepshead Bay, down in that section of Brooklyn.
And was that a rough area? Because I know you had mentioned
it was a good area, but it was a tough area. Yeah, there was a lot of tough guys come from that section of Brooklyn. You know, that whole area, Mill Basin, Marine Park, Sheepshead Bay, Gravesend. It's all that, you know, the southern part of Brooklyn. That's what's called now the real Brooklyn. Still not the fake Brooklyn that up by Dumbo, and that's the reinvented Brooklyn. The real Brooklyn.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because they've changed it so much. It's I was watching a documentary about how I think in the 90s they kicked out all the small businesses and they just kind of.
Oh well, yeah. Back when I grew up, you wouldn't go down. You wouldn't go down to that area. I mean, you know, unless you had a restaurant or something. It's totally different now. Even Manhattan, even the city. You know, Alphabet City. You know, the downtown. I mean, that was a war zone down there. Now it's shops and boutiques and restaurants. It's amazing. Yeah, it's totally different.
Did you have to learn how to defend yourself a bit? I know you had mentioned you got jumped on a subway once, right?
Yeah. Sure, I got a couple of scrapes growing up, and then even through after being grown up. You know,
oh God, yeah.
My friend and I got jumped on the train once. I was a teenager at the time, but so. You had to defend yourself. Yeah, you had to at least know how to defend yourself. Yeah.
What did your parents do?
My mother raised 4 kids. She had side jobs. She would teach catechism or whatever, you know. And my mother and father divorced, so I grew up without my father being around. But he was actually a bartender for most of his life.
Are they both of Italian descent?
Yes. Yeah. Both their parents or their grandparents for the well, no, on my father's side, his parents. On my mother's side, her grandparents were immigrants. So I'm third generation, pretty much. You know, third.
Okay.
Who's Italian or anything like that? My mother didn't either. You know, she understood it. My grandmother spoke it a little bit, but. My mother, you know, we didn't speak Italian in the house. My mother was very Americanized. You wouldn't even know.
Right. And
Sunday, you know, she made the sauce and the macaroni and meatballs. Well, now it's pasta, but yeah.
And you grew up largely amongst people of Italian descent and Irish, right?
Yeah, that neighborhood. My neighborhood was a blue collar kind of neighborhood. So Italian, Irish, there was Jewish. You know, it was a mix, but a lot of Italians, a lot of Irish, I would say mostly. Yeah.
How were you in school? Were you a troublemaker or a good student, or mix of both?
I wouldn't say I was a good student at all. I was very smart, but I wasn't a good student. No, school wasn't my thing. I didn't like school very much.
No, we have that in common, you and I. Can I ask? I was curious. I saw on your Instagram page. So one of your sisters passed, right, in '84.
Yes.
May I ask how she passed? Was it sudden or?
Well, she long story, but she had a cyst that had to be removed. It was removed. It was fine. It was nothing. It wasn't anything that serious. It could have been treated, but they screwed up during the operation. She was over anesthetized, so she never really woke up from the operation. So that was really the reason why she passed, not because of a disease something like that. Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Oh God. I was talking to I don't know if you met Stephanie Kurtzuba on Wolf of Wall Street. She played Kimmy, and she was De Niro's wife in The Irishman.
Oh, of course I know who she is. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
she was in Goodfellas. Yeah, she was the babysitter in Goodfellas.
No, that was Pacino's wife. She was. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. He's worked with so many, right? It's hard to.
That's what you said. It was she. She was the daughter, right? Who'd she play this one?
In The Irishman, she was De Niro's wife.
Wife, okay.
In the second wife in and she was also in Wolf of Wall Street. I spoke to her a few days ago, and she was talking about her mother passing and how that actually her father became very different and better at afterwards. Did the dynamic in your household change after that, or?
Well, my parents were divorced already, so that really had nothing to do with that. But yeah, the dynamic in the house was totally different after that. Everything was changed. Nothing's ever been the same since, especially for my mother,
Yeah. And are you the oldest, and you have two other brothers, right?
Yeah. A younger brother, younger sister.
Younger brother, right? Are any of them in the arts?
Not really. No, not really.
No. Very cool. Yeah. And when did you meet Terry Winter? Because you grew up with him, right?
Well, we grew up on the same block. He's got me by a couple of years, 3 years older, but so he was one of the older kids on the block. But Terry is in my memory as far back as it goes, because I was, we were raised on that block. I born on that block, so whenever the time of recognition is, and I knew Terry was there, but he was he was a little older, so he hung out with the older guys. But I was kind of mature when I was young, and I was big, and I looked older, so I started hanging out with Terry and the older guys when I was about 12, and they were about 15, and then by the time Terry got his license when he was 16 or 17, I was still only like 13. So that was the greatest time, just jumping in his car and cruising around Brooklyn. I'm a 13-year-old kid, cruising around with my friends who have a license already. It was like freedom like I've never experienced. It was like, it was just, it was a lot of fun. We got into some trouble. Nothing too bad, but mischief kind of stuff.
Was that, because I know that Brooklyn Rules was based loosely on you guys growing up, right?
Yeah, loosely. So a lot of those things didn't happen. In fact, the guy, the other friend Bobby, who was played by Jerry Ferrara, didn't get shot and killed. He's alive and well. He's a school teacher in Queens.
Okay, good. Thank God.
His name is Bobby Canzaneri. Terry changed my name and his name for obvious reasons, because we're in the business. But Bobby's not, and we just, Terry thought it'd be interesting to keep, to have Bobby's character have his actual name, and Bobby, loved the idea and signed off on it. So, and I didn't get that deep into things as the movie shows either. So, but there's little germs of everything that Terry took, a dramatic license with, and the relationship between the Franks, that's the heart of the movie. That's real.
Yeah.
And like, again, some of the things are just germs of things, and some of the things are actually true, and so, but none of the bad stuff.
Because you had said the Scott Conn character was based on you. What was it about him that was very much you? Was it the hair and stuff?
You have to ask him that. I don't know. I can't judge.
Okay.
I thought he did a good job, but it's hard for me to be in my position to judge how well, To me, I saw some of me because we hung out for a while before he. But I saw a lot of his father in that role also. I think he used a lot of James Caan in the role in playing Mitch. Obviously, it's in his DNA, but. When I watch Brooklyn Rules and I see the Carmine character, I see a little bit of me and a lot of Sonny Corleone.
It's a
combination. That's good to be in that mix. I'm honored.
Yeah, no, for sure. I just saw it yesterday. I hadn't seen it before, but it's a pretty good little film, and I was surprised when I saw Freddie Prinze Jr. I thought, I thought, what? Because I never had seen him in a part like that. But you know what? He was quite good as this Brooklyn.
Yeah. He did good, and it was a hard role to cast because Terry was kind of like half, troublemaker, half a college guy. It was just, that's a hard role to play, and I think Freddie did a good job. I think Scott was great, and Jerry Ferrara, and then of course Alec Baldwin playing the mob guy.
He was really good. Yeah,
and all the other characters. It was like, the cast was great in that movie.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. Do you know if Baldwin was easy to get for that? Because I know he wanted to be in The Sopranos. Did Terry reach out to him? Was that? I
honestly don't remember how that happened back then. Terry didn't. Terry wrote it. He was a producer, but he the guy who directed it, produced it, and I'm sure reached out and made those deals. And I don't know how involved Terry was in the casting of it, although he was a producer of it and the writer, of course. But I remember hearing, I think Alec wanted to do it, and I'm sure they had to pay him, because he deserves it, But I really don't know what he was paid or how hard it was to get him. I know they were trying to get Johnny Depp for a while.
Oh.
Johnny Depp was interested. He read the script and he liked it, but I forget what the problem was. In the Caesar role, in the Alec Baldwin role, they were talking to him. They were talking to a few people. That always happens. Right. So Johnny Depp hadn't done a mob guy prior to that. He did after, with Black Mass.
That's right.
Something else, I think, too. I don't remember.
Donnie Brasco? Oh, that was before. Yeah.
Scratch that. Of course, he did Donnie Brasco.
Yeah.
Sorry. Scratch that, right.
But it wound up being Baldwin. Yeah. But
what year was Donnie Brasco?
97.
Oh, wow. So, this was 04. Yeah. So, for sure. It would have been interesting. It would have been interesting to see him in that role,
Yeah.
But Baldwin was great, Baldwin,
he was great. He brought a lot of humor to it as well. I mean, he just naturally has that ability, but at the same time, he was a terrifying. I think even in the voiceover, Freddie Prinze Jr. says that he helped them, but he was a terrible guy.
A lot of those guys are, but and Alec just nailed it. He did great. He is a funny guy too. He's a ball breaker. Got me once on set. It was a pretty funny story. We're shooting the scene where we're sitting in the nightclub and I'm talking to Scott Kahn, and the camera is coming in from my left, and Alex sitting to my right, and Scott sitting across to me. So we're in the nightclub and they have the music playing, and then when they start rolling, they'll shut the playback down so you can talk. And they'll roll the camera, but when you see the movie, you'll hear the music will be there, but it's not there when you're shooting. So you have to act as if, right? So I spent a lot of time in nightclubs and bars. I used to bartend. So when you're in a bar, you have to lean in to talk to someone when the music's loud. So like I said, Alex to my right, the camera and the lights are to my left. So I'm leaning in to talk to Scott. Even though I don't need to, but I'm acting as the music's on. So we do a couple of takes, and then setting up, they're resetting, and Alec looks at me very concerned, goes, "Hey, buddy, you feeling okay?" So I said, "Yeah, fine." Why? He goes, "You sure you don't feel warm or anything?" I said, "No, what do you mean?" He goes, "No, you don't feel flush, maybe like you're getting a feel, like you feel hot, like maybe like that side of your face is hot or something." And I'm like, "No, why would I be hot?" He goes, "Because you're in my fucking light."
Oh God, I could I could see that happening with
the whole crew starts laughing. I mean, it was extras. It was a nightclub scene. It was 100 people on set or more. So he got me really good. I was like, all right, you got me. I put my foot right in my mouth, and I learned a very good lesson about how to know where the lights are and know where the camera is. That very good lesson. It never happened to me again. I always know where the lights are.
But then again, I can see why you would have had that impulse, because that's what you're right. That's what people do.
Right.
You got to lean in. Yeah.
I leaned in a little too far, So if you see the scene in the movie, I still lean in, but I measured, I figured out what the line was, that imaginary line that you can't cross, or you start screwing the lights up.
Where to stop. Yeah.
You don't learn that shit in school. You learn that stuff on the set.
Exactly. Yeah.
You learn that by a movie star.
Right. Oh God. You originally started taking classes at the Gene Frankel school.
I took some classes at the Gene Frankel. In fact, with Terry Winter. Terry and I were in the same acting class together. He wanted to study acting to help with his writing of character. So we started studying there. And my first ever acting scene, or in a class or anything, was with Terry Winter. We did a scene from Of Mice and Men.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty funny. It was the end scene. I'm Lenny, and he's damn it, can't
George.
And so we're doing the scene, right? And we're putting it up in class, and it's the first time I'm actually acting. I did a monologue before in the class, but this is the first time I'm doing a scene. This is a long time ago. I didn't want to say when, but so the only prop that we had in that class was this old plastic ray gun from the 60s. It looked like those old right. It's the only gun he had to use. So in the scene, he shoots Lenny.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, who was someone didn't read Of Mice and Men yet.
That's all right. It's an old classic.
It was a play before it was even a movie.
Yeah, that's right.
So at the end, it's like that emotional scene, and I'm saying, I see something, and I'm looking out, and I see rabbits, and we're talking about how great life's going to be, and he's standing behind me, getting ready to, steadying his nerve to shoot me in the head, and he's my friend, he loves me, in the character, So when he pulls the trigger, he actually pulls the trigger of the toy ray gun, and it goes wee 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 wee.
Oh God!
Those little sounds it used to make. So
yeah.
I'm like, oh fuck. So I played dead, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. But the class was everybody was just into it, and I had my death scene, and then everybody started laughing afterwards. So
oh God.
But oh, he goes, damn it! I should have I should have actually pulled the trigger. I didn't know it was going to make.
Yeah.
That's why, with young actors, you always have to, or it's called auditioning the props. My acting teacher, Robert Devanzo, who I studied with, the majority of my studies with Robert Devanzo, audition the props. Always audition the props, because you never know how a prop will go wrong, and that's a perfect example.
It looks like you learned a lot of lesson in embarrassing moments. So
well, that's what you learn, right?
Exactly.
When you do things right, you learn when you make mistakes. I literally never crossed a light ever again in my career. I'm so aware of where lights are, because I just that embarrassment of Alec Baldwin nailing me like that in front of 200 people.
What were they teaching in terms of an approach to acting at the Gene Frankel School? Was there a specific
well, I didn't study there that long.
Okay.
The base of my studies, the majority of my studies are under Robert Devanzo. He has a studio called RD Studios. In fact, I am now teaching there at his studio. I saw that on your Instagram. Yeah. And we do it's scene study and character development, and we kind of use the Uta Hagen, Stella Adler, which they're very similar techniques. They're a little different, but based on the Uta Hagen technique, objective and obstacles, and all that good stuff. And you teach students how to analyze a script, how to withdraw all the information, how to mine all the information from a script, from the subtext, what other people say about your character, what the author says about your character, and just a scene study, and then also how to apply these techniques from all these method techniques to that. And it's a good class. It's students get up and work every week for at least 20 minutes or half hour on their scenes. So It's just real, basics of acting, technique and we just work on plays or excerpts from plays, some well-written films also, but no TV because, in theater and with playwrights, they're written for characters. So that's the way to understand beats. A lot of
Right.
TV, especially network TV, it's not written in that literary, form. So with TV, you just learn how to say the lines and hit your mark, and that's really what you need to do. But to learn to really how to apply all this method, you have to really do it with plays or well-written films. Woody Allen.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, with that because he writes his screenplays like very like a kind of there's a stage aspect to his work. So
yeah,
and anything Terry Winter writes also applies.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Are you doing that now in person, or are you still doing that online?
We just started doing it in person.
Okay.
Last week. Yeah, actually last week.
Is it weird to go back and not just look at a screen when you're
teaching? I wasn't doing it on screen. I didn't think it was beneficial. I didn't do it on screen. I didn't want to. So yeah, it's great being back in the class and having students there. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
It's RD Studio in North Hollywood or NoHo up here. Where are you located? I'm not even sure.
I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Oh, you're in Canada. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Have you ever been here?
Never have.
Never? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. One day.
Yeah. Most people I know have. A lot of people have worked up there. I just never had the opportunity yet.
Yeah. Well, we have tons and tons of film and TV and commercial production here. A lot of American stuff. So maybe one day you'll make your way here.
There's something that I'm up for. That's a possible project that could be shooting up there. So we'll see. Can't talk.
Oh, okay.
But
great.
I'll look forward to it.
Yeah. I hope you get it. So Terry went to LA and you decided to follow him. Was that just a very spontaneous decision, or were you thinking about it for a while?
It was pretty much spontaneous. I thought about it as a concept. I never thought about it seriously. I thought about acting as not even going to LA per se. Just thought about acting as like just something that maybe I thought I'd want to try. In fact, I think we went to the acting class after he decided to move out here. I don't remember now. But Terry went to law school. He passed the bar, started practicing law in New York. And practiced maybe a year, maybe a little less. I don't remember. But literally one day I'm hanging out. I'm sitting on the stoop at my house in Brooklyn, and Terry walks down the block. And we used to hang out in front of my house. My friend lived next door also. Our other friend Bobby from Brooklyn Rules lived right next door to where I live. So he comes down. He goes, "What's up?" He says, "Nothing." He goes, "Thinking of quitting law." I said, "Really?" I mean, he just started. You making all it wasn't crazy money, but to us, it was. He was making lawyer money, but now you look back at it, it was nothing. I said, "What are you?" He goes, "I go, what are you going to do?" He goes, "I'm going to be a screenwriter. I'm just going to go out to LA, man. I just want to be a screenwriter." He goes, "You should come. You could pursue acting. I'm sure I had mentioned it before." So I just looked at him. I said, "That's a great idea. Okay, I'm coming." So, so he went out first, and that's a whole story. He has some funny stories about first getting out here. And then I joined him about 6-8 months later. He found a 2-bedroom apartment. I think I sent him the deposit money because I had money then, and he was having tough times, but he did okay since, of course. But so I sent money, and we secured the apartment, and we had we were roommates for like 3 or 4 years, and until he started making it, he started like getting work, and then he got his own place, and I started doing better. I got my own place, but we've been close friends since we're kids. So
Wow. I should mention, just in case anyone doesn't, Terrence Winter, in case people perhaps don't know, is the one of the writers on The Sopranos, and he was the executive producer, and he also created Boardwalk Empire, which Chris was on, and he wrote The Wolf of Wall Street and Brooklyn Rules. These films we're talking about. Was New York not a place? Because I know this was in the early '90s. Was New York not a place people wanted to stay in at that because of TV? Like, was LA the place to go?
That was it back then, right?
Right.
There was no cable really yet, so HBO wasn't a thing yet. So you just had network television, and all the network shows shot in LA. There was maybe one or two shows that shot in New York. Everything shot in LA. So if you want, I just missed the time when the New York scene started popping. I literally just, like, if I would have stayed in New York, I would have got involved with that. But at that time, and I wasn't that involved in that world yet. So I didn't, even if there was a scene going on in New York, I wasn't really sure of it or that aware of it. Now that, I've been in it, I know all these guys that I've worked with that were in that scene at that time. But it just worked out that Terry came to LA, so I was like, I came with them. This thought of being in LA sounded great. So to my knowledge, that was the thing to do. It wasn't even a decision. You want to be an actor, go to LA. Like, I didn't think about staying in New York then, although maybe, if I would have, it would have worked out fine, but I just didn't know that was an option at that point.
And what kind of things were you doing before acting? Because you were a bartender, right? And you ran a bar and clubs and
I bartended. I sold real estate. I drove car service when I was a kid. I did all kinds of knock around things. Yeah.
Did you do that in LA as well? The same stuff when you went there?
Bartended. No, I just bartended in LA. I started bartending a while before I left to go out to LA. I bartended at some nightclubs in New York and Queens and Brooklyn. And then when I came out to LA, I had a connection. A friend worked at this famous club called the Roxbury. In fact, they made a movie called Night at the Roxbury.
Oh, yeah. The Chris Kattan and
that was real cool, Roxbury. And I got a job bartending there. They liked hiring New York style bartenders there. It was like the hottest club. It was like LA's version of Studio 54, in the 90s instead of, studio in the 70s. And I worked there and bartended there and, made a pretty good living. So, and was able to pursue the acting. So, I bartended a few nights a week, and I did that for many, many years.
When were you able to just only act?
I kind of stopped bartending pretty much. I would go and come, like when I was shooting Sopranos, I would actually fly back to LA sometimes and for the weekend and work my bartending gig at the nightclub because I made as much money bartending on the weekend that I did working 2 days on the Funaro. It wasn't that much money back in those days.
Right.
So I'd fly back and then I'd go back the following week and shoot a couple of days on Sopranos, then go back and do my bartending shifts. But I was, way younger and, could do that. Wouldn't do that now.
Yeah.
Well, I probably stopped bartending altogether. For all intents and purposes, probably around my first season of Boardwalk Empire. That's when I didn't really need to bartend anymore. At that point, yeah.
I love that because often people think when you're on TV, then hey, you made it, but the reality is, and as an actor myself, no, you can make
on TV. You got to make money to have people see you on TV. It's not free. You get paid.
Yeah.
The investment to get to that point is
exactly
very expensive.
Yeah. And of course, running off to a shift, like you said, bartending or, being a waiter or what have you. It's so common.
Right. I'd fly home from jobs. Like I did a job in Dallas once, called The Good Guys, a TV show.
Yeah.
Shot that, when they fly you out of town, they got to limo you back and forth to the airport, fly you first class, put you up in a hotel. It's all part of the SAG thing. So I literally, first class flight back after shooting in Dallas for like 2 weeks. Land in LAX, have the limo driver with my name, literally drove me home, put my bartending uniform on, and went to work after I got out of the, I went from an actor getting out of a limo to being a bartender with this,
Oh yeah.
and just, so no, it's, I don't know, a lot of people do that. The majority do. Now I don't have to bartend anymore. Thank God I put my time in, believe me.
Oh God, yeah. No, it's so common. So I'm glad you brought that up. So people see the realities of showbiz. It ain't all pretty, right?
No, it's not.
When did you? Because I know that you and Terry started the fake agency in order to get auditions, because you couldn't get an audition without it.
Well, that was Terry's idea. Terry, if Terry was a criminal, he'd be like he'd be one of these like genius con men.
Yeah.
But he always used his powers for good. He never wrote anything before, and I had no resume because I hadn't done anything, so I couldn't get an agent because I had no credits. Couldn't get credits because couldn't get a job because I didn't have an agent. It's catch-22.
Right.
Terry comes up with this brilliant idea just to create this fake agency. Did a letterhead, got a voicemail. We got a mailbox, etc. Box on in a mailbox, etc. store on Sunset Boulevard. So we'd have the Sunset Boulevard address for the management company, because that's a thing, Managers. In the old days, managers were on Sunset Boulevard, agents were on Wilshire. So if your agent was on Wilshire, you had a good agent. So he thought of everything. So Sunset Boulevard, I think we had some girl do the voicemail like, "You have reached the Viviani." And Terry was great. Terry's a smart guy, was a lawyer. So Terry would literally field the calls. He'd negotiate. He'd call and say he's the agent. And, someone called, he submitted a script and they called him and he called back and he's like acting as the agent. And they say, "Well, we'd love to see Terry's work. And can he get us another script by Monday?" And Terry didn't have another script by Monday, but he says, well, I'll have to check. I know he's staying at his beach house in Malibu. I'll give him a call and ask. So Terry hangs up the phone, calls back, says, "Yeah, he has another script to show you." And he gave himself 24 hours. He wrote another script and went to the meeting with this other script.
Oh, wow.
He would do, and he would also be the runner, because in those days you'd have to drop headshots and scripts off.
Yeah.
Quickly. So you'd have to go into the studios. So Terry would pull up to the gates of Paramount and say he's, the delivery boy to go. And now he's the delivery guy handing his script to the producer after he was just on the phone with them acting as the agent. So he's the talent, the agent, and the
Oh my God, this guy's a renaissance man.
Well, that's what it took Terry to make it. Terry's very successful and he's done well and he deserves it. I think he's the most talented writer.
Yeah.
But even he had to do whatever it took. And believe me, he did, or else who knows? Sometimes talent isn't discovered because it's not put out there. You got to do it. In these days, you can't sneak onto movie lots and drop scripts off. But there's a way to do it now. You have to figure it out because whatever that way is, it's still out there. There's still a trick. Yeah. You got to figure it out. So
yeah, he really worked his ass off. I mean, I was listening to him on the Talking Sopranos podcast, and
believe me, I was bartending at the hottest club in LA, and I would say, "Come down to the club, man. It was a great time." I was working, but I was part of the party there too. And he came one time. He would just sit home and write.
Yeah,
write all day, all night. I'd be in my bedroom, we had a common wall to his bedroom, and I would just hit a typewriter all night because he actually had a typewriter in the early 90s.
Wow.
And he would just write these spec scripts and get them out and just send them out and send them here and send them there, and just one thing led to the next. And he started getting hired on some shows like Sister. He went from Sister, which was a Fox comedy about the two twin girls, to Sopranos. I mean, that's a leapfrog that most people don't make. But he would take any job he could just to get to build that resume, and then he's got an actual agent, and he met people in his career that helped him out and moved him forward.
Yeah, it was quite. I know, because if you his resume, it's quite funny. It's like Sister Sister or Home Improvement, and then boom, Sopranos. It's kind of funny to see that.
Yeah, he came out of the gate strong on that. He did his first episode is oh damn, Terry's first episode was I can't think of it right now, but it was a real good one. Damn, it was pretty impressive to be first episode actually, but. I can't
actually, if perhaps because the people watching, if anyone knows, you can drop it in the comment box. Yeah, and if anyone has any questions for Chris, please feel free to drop it in the comment box, and I'll read them at a good time. How long did it take for you to get a real agent and your SAG card? How long did that take?
A couple of years. Well, I probably got my first real agent probably pretty quick, within a year, I would say 6 months in a year.
That's pretty good.
And then I started getting jobs, like non-union jobs, within a year or two. And then I think I got my SAG card by maybe it took me 3 years, 4 years to get my. And that's pretty good. Like thinking back, I thought that took me forever, but yeah, I would say 4 years of solid work. And the first couple of years I was in town, I was goofing off and bartending and not really pursuing it. And once I got real serious, I started working within an agent and working within a year or so, and SAG card soon after. Because I got my SAG card over 20 years now, so I forget exactly when.
Yeah, you did some theater with your acting teacher there, right?
I did theater. We did we did a lot of one acts up there, and then I also did theater recently at the. With a theater group, a separate theater group that I'm involved with called the, Jesus Christ, I can't remember. Something ensemble, something. Geez, they're going to kill me. Oh, we're live too. All right.
Yeah, I'll cut it out later.
We did a play at but the last play I did was about 2 years ago. I would have did another one sooner since then, but since COVID. But we haven't. But the theater group that I'm involved in is going to be producing another play. So hopefully I'll get up on stage again soon. I really like it. I don't do it as much as I should or as much as I'd like to, but it really feeds your acting. It's that immediate response, and you need to get out there sometimes and just. It's like walking on a tightrope. It's scary, but
yeah.
Sometimes you fall, but the thing is with a play, you fall, but don't let anybody see, because every performance on every play anyone's ever seen, someone has dropped a line or skipped a line but you don't know it. They fix it, they figure it out, and you keep going.
Props, stuff like I know something always happens, but if you're quick on your feet, the audience might not know, right?
I did a play once, and the person I was in the scene with jumped 2 scenes ahead.
Oh God!
And the next scene that we were coming up to was really important. So I had to get them up there, bring them back, and then work back to the scene we had to do. It was it worked. I don't know how we did it, but it worked.
Yeah.
In that scene that we jumped over is crucial information. Play would have been over if we didn't come back.
Yeah. No, I've seen that happen too. You drop the big news in the play that the characters don't know until the end, and then we're gonna drop the curtain. I don't know what else to do. Right. Oh jeez. Do you prefer film and TV over theater?
I wouldn't say prefer. It's two different things. I enjoy doing both, and they both satisfy different aspects of the craft and what you like to do. I mean, if I had to pick, I would say TV and film. It's easier and more money, but you get more out of you get more personally in the moment on stage.
Yeah.
Although when you make the crew guys laugh, when you're shooting something and the crew guys laugh, you did a good job.
It's the same kind of feel as a play. Yeah.
Those crew guys, they don't laugh for everything. If they had a good time, you did good.
That's a good point.
Look up at them and they're like,
Yeah. That's a good point. So once you got the Sopranos, because I know you had auditioned for a few parts before getting Billy, but you sorry, go on. Because Ray Abruzzo's part, right? You had went for it before.
I did. But they just probably saw me out of courtesy for that. I wasn't right. But I don't remember what I read for prior to that. I think I read 3 times before I got Billy. And Billy Leotardo, when I auditioned, it wasn't Billy Leotardo. It was Billy.
Yeah, it was a different name, right? Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so I imagine that when you got booked was just for that episode, but then when they made you the brother,
right?
Is that how it went? How it happened?
Well, yeah, it was that episode, and probably 2, maybe 3. I was going to be one of his henchmen, one of his guys. You probably would have saw me in a couple episodes. I don't know if they would have gave me a storyline or whatever, but just the fact that that name didn't clear, the Billy Siracusa name didn't clear, they couldn't use it. So it didn't clear legal, which means someone else maybe had that name, and just to avoid any issues, legal issues, the name doesn't clear, so I have to change the name. So I guess I'm not sure if it was Terry or whatever producer was on set that day. David wasn't, but as far as I know, throughout that day, as far as I knew, I was Billy Siracusa. I even have the sides, my script from my first day, it says Billy Siracusa on it. And my first contract that I signed on Sopranos says Billy Siracusa. So that's pretty cool. I'm holding on to that.
Yeah.
So I guess later that day, or at some point later, they were back at the office and the name didn't clear. And I guess whoever was on set said, well, let's make them related, because there is a resemblance to me and Frank. That we look like we could have been brothers, father and son or something. There's definitely a sort of resemblance, which I'm on it. That's a good looking guy. He was
he was
my guy. Yeah, and so to look like him is a compliment. So anyway, I guess that was the impetus, to go with the Billy Leotardo thing, and then that whole storyline and the whole ending of the show ended up changing on that one thing, that the name didn't clear, which caused the war. That ended.
That's right. Yeah,
you never know what's going to happen. You never know, man. It's all this crazy shit.
So I guess like a change like that, they don't necessarily have the whole season mapped out then.
Not at all. No, they don't. Those shows, they kind of write as they go. Or if there are episodes written before they start shooting, they're fluid, because even, that's how Terry works. Even shooting a Boardwalk Empire, like the scenes with Bobby Cannavale and I, we'd get, after the table read, we'd have 2 or 3 or 4 revisions before we shot the scene sometimes, sometimes I counted like 10 once, the scene where I killed him.
Yeah.
It was like, I think 12 rewrites. I think.
Wow. Wow.
Like maybe 1 line, 1 word, it was between 10 and 12 revisions of that scene, that script. So, and again, they see how the characters interact, and it goes from there. But
okay.
They had no idea in episode 2 of season 5 when I started that by episode 12, I'm his brother getting killed and this whole crazy thing.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any clue to that at all.
Okay.
Because that wouldn't have been if that character the name wasn't changed. It wouldn't have. None of that would have happened.
Right. Yeah. No. It really did change that. The whole war and everything up until the next season was so. You getting killed was so. Influenced the whole.
They even brought me back in season 6 to have my memorial.
Thing. Your photo, right? Yeah.
They actually brought me back, and I paid for another episode for that, just to use we just did a photo shoot, and they used those photos.
Yeah. in the chat box, someone, sorry, forgive me if I'm saying this wrong. Is Usta or Usta? Usta Porth said, "Big Girls Don't Cry" was the first episode written by Terry. She thinks Big Girls Don't Cry.
That's right. That's right.
Right. Thank you for that. Thanks so much for that. And yeah, again, please, anyone, if questions or comments, keep dropping them in the comment box. You had said that you learned a lot from Frank Vincent. What specifically had you learned from him?
Just how to handle yourself on a set, and just the ins and outs of the business. Some acting stuff. Not that he taught me acting, but I would watch him and how naturalistic he was. But like, he knew his way around a set, and behind the scenes stuff. It was like an education. It was an education in every aspect working on that show. Just, watching Jim Gandolfini work and being in scenes with him was, something I look back on, like, I can't believe I didn't have any lines with him, but I was in scenes with him. It's pretty damn cool, and then working with Frank the way I did, I loved Frank Vincent from the time I saw Raging Bull.
Yeah.
Connected to his character, I really did for some reason. And then, of course, in Goodfellas, he comes back as Billy Bats and Casino and tons of other stuff. And just the fact that I got to work with him and to play his little brother was just an honor. That I pinch myself sometimes that I got that opportunity, man. I really do.
Yeah, no, I bet. I heard he was one of the nicest guys, and always looking to help people. And
don't mess with him. Don't but yeah, if he loves you, he loves you. But if he doesn't like it, he don't like it. But that's how those guys are. He was an old time kind of guy, He was that's how they were, man. They had that DNA,
Yeah.
No bullshit, no nonsense. Great guy, but. I wouldn't mess with him. That's for sure.
I wouldn't either. Just the look, he's a tough-looking guy. That's for sure. Was Terry able to help you get auditions there, or was it very traditional through the agent?
No, with Sopranos, Terry didn't even let David Chase know I was a friend of his, because David was adverse to hiring friends. So Terry didn't sit in the audition. He might have helped get me the appointment with casting, but that's just getting the job with casting. It's hard getting a job. But as far as getting the job, he didn't sit in on the audition, and he didn't let David know that we were friends. I had worked with Tim Van Patten prior to that. I did a pilot that Tim Van Patten directed in 2000. Either in 1999 or 2000. It might have been 01, right around there. But Frank Renzulli, who was one of the first writers of Sopranos, who left the show after season 2, he had his own show called Russo. Michael Rispoli, who was in Sopranos, also playing Richie Aprile, not Richie Aprile, the brother.
Oh God. That's Richie Aprile. Did he have was his character's brother in that?
Yeah.
Oh,
he died of cancer. That's why Tony took over. He was actually
of course the boss. Yeah, he's great. He was in a lot of Spike Lee films. Yeah.
Mike Rispoli.
That's it. I knew it was ringing a bell. I just couldn't put the face to it.
I know him, and I worked. So I was in the pilot of his show called Russo that Tim Van Patten directed and Frank Renzulli produced. So I got in the room. Tim Van Patten already knew me. So So I had at least that connection in the room. So, and I think Tim directed the first episode I was in. Maybe not now. I don't remember. But Tim was in the room. But Terry wasn't. And David, liked what I did. I don't even remember what my audition was. I remember walking in and seeing a bunch of people there, and David Chase just looking at you
I've heard he doesn't even react, right? Like even Michael Imperioli said that. Doesn't show how he's feeling or.
Yeah. And Georgianne Walken was there, of course, who I've read for before. And I don't remember the audition. I just remember walking out and saying, I have no idea what the hell just happened, if that was good or if that worked. I saw Tim was smiling. because I
That's a good sign.
Out of my eye after when I was leaving. So I said, that's a good sign. But David was just, thank you. Nothing. I got the call, I think, later that day, when I was back in Brooklyn. I was hanging out, exercising in the park or something, and I got the call when I was there.
Amazing. And so you only went the one, there wasn't a callback, it was one audition and they gave it to you?
No, because I think since I had auditioned already, I went, like, I didn't go to the pre-read. Sometimes, like, when you audition, you go to the pre-read and then the callback. So the pre-read is just for the casting director, and then the callback is for the producers or director. But since casting knew me already, and I worked for the director already.
Okay.
I think I just went back to the callback.
Okay.
Or maybe my pre-read might have been on tape. I don't remember, but I remember flying to New York to go into the room because I didn't want to put it on tape. I wanted to walk in the room. And that was the advice I got too, And Sharippa did the same thing. Sharippa, even though he flew himself back to audition when he first got his role, I remember him saying. Back then, it was better to be in the room. Now there is no room. Everything is,
self-tape. Yeah.
I kind of liked in the beginning because, like, you could just do it all day until you get it perfect. But then you drive yourself nuts. So I do what I do now. I do maybe 3 self-tape takes. And I stop, and that's it. And I pick which one, and if I don't like it, too bad. I send the one that's the best. But now I miss walking in that room because that's really where it happens. When you walk in the room, they meet you, they see who you are, and then you go. Now that I'm a more seasoned actor, and I don't have the fear of walking into the room anymore, because that took a long time to get over that audition nervousness, It's like going on a job interview every day of your life,
Yeah.
Sometimes more than once a day. But I'm way past that. I wish I could bottle that feeling, because if you could bottle it and sell that, I'm telling you, you'd be a billionaire. But now when I walk into the room, I'm not cocky, but you're lucky I'm here, and if you hire me, I'll help out your project. If not, you're lost.
Yeah.
And not, it's not that I walk in like I'm an asshole, but you have to think like that.
Yeah.
It's not the favor for me to walk into that room anymore. Everybody's there to help everybody else.
Exactly.
They need me, I need them, they need me. The director needs an actor. The cast, So it's, when you walk in and you're like, "Oh, thank you for seeing me. Thank you for seeing me." They don't want to hire you.
Too desperate.
Too desperate, right? So don't be too cocky, but be confident. That's the only thing I would say. Just know who you are, and know what you have to offer, and that's it.
How did you gain confidence with auditioning? Was it just trial and error?
It's trial and error. You doing it for years, and getting to the point of not giving a shit anymore does help too.
Yeah.
You don't want to hire me, don't hire me. I don't need to eat. I'll be okay.
Right. No, it's a good attitude to have. I was going to ask, I think I missed it, my question when we're talking about your acting training, but you also studied with Jeff Goldblum, right, at Playhouse West?
I studied Meisner Technique with Jeff Goldblum. Again, I didn't finish Meisner Technique. I did it maybe 6 months or a year. It wasn't really my thing, and that's when I found Robert DeVonzo at RD Studio and started studying with Robert. So I studied with Robert probably 4 or 5 years on and off. And I would go
serious study.
Serious scene study. And I would go back every once in a while and work out. And now, like I said, I'm teaching a class at that very studio. So it's great. It feels like I'm back in acting class too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What was it about the Meisner Technique approach that you didn't really care for?
I should have stayed, because I read of Meisner. I was impatient, and the first 6 months of Meisner, it's all
exercise,
all the exercises, and I wanted to get up and do something. I should have stayed and finished it, because it is a good technique. But whatever. I was in that, like I said, I wasn't a school guy. I wasn't a school person, so I felt like I was in school again. I had to do homework, and I just give me some. I wanted to just like when I started with Robert DeVonzo, like he gave me a monologue from Julius Caesar.
Shakespeare.
the Brutus monologue. No, is it?
Mark
after Mark Antony, right? Right, Mark Antony after Caesar's killed.
Oh yeah.
That amazing monologue. In fact, in the movie, of course, it's Brando.
Yeah.
In Julius Caesar, that friends, Romans, countrymen.
Yeah, great speech.
That is that is the best monologue ever written. Still, nothing comes close to that.
Yeah.
400 years, whatever. And that was that's what. So Robert gave me that. I got up on stage. I did it. He critiqued me. He started teaching me how to the technique of how to understand what I'm saying, and I was hooked on that method, which I found out, which was the Uta Hagen
right
lane of the method, which it's all method, but it's just, and they all those acting teachers all offshoot from Stanislavski, but then they all have their own, Uta Hagen and Stella Adler and Meisner and Strasberg.
Yeah.
I'm missing somebody, but
Oh yeah, there's so many. We're seeing acting classes. The prices are higher and higher and higher nowadays. What would it have cost then? Was it reasonable?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. Where I studied, where I teach now, was very reasonable. In fact, it still is. I was probably paying $150 a month back then, maybe 160, 175 at the end. And it was one class a week, and you worked every week. You got up on stage and worked at least a half hour with your scene partner, really intensive. And that's what we do now, actually. And now we only charge $275 for that same class. Which there's teachers in LA that offer the same kind of scene study, and they charge double that, and you're not guaranteed to work every week. So it was Robert was very inexpensive, but he has students. I was with him for years. I'm kind of with him for 20 years, if you think about it. Most of the students in his class are multiple year students that go on, because he doesn't hurt them. It's an expensive proposition, and it's very reasonable. So no, if he was charging me $400, $500 back then, I had bartending money, so it would have been okay. But a lot of people, they don't have that access to that kind of income in cash, and it's being an actor is an extremely expensive proposition. From headshots, in the old days, you'd have to get your headshots printed every couple of months, and that was hundreds of dollars, but all kinds of costs. There's still a lot of costs involved. All the websites now that you have, it's the same cost. It just goes to different places now, but it's not cheap.
No, absolutely not. There's a question for any Tony Sirico stories from the chat box. Someone's asking.
Tony Sirico?
Yeah, sorry, Sirico.
Any Tony Sirico stories? Well, there's plenty of Tony Sirico stories out there. I used to hear stories about Tony Sirico from older people in my neighborhood, because he was like a legend in Brooklyn even before he became famous as an actor. He was just,
I heard about that, because he was a bit of a
he was a tough guy. He was older, like my uncles and my parents' age around there, but he had he had quite a reputation.
I've read. I believe he was in jail when he took an acting class in jail. I don't
know about if he took an acting class in jail, but he was in jail. And then his first manager is Bob McGowan, who's a famous manager, who's actually my manager right now. And Bob and Tony have been working together since right after The Godfather, I think, or right after Tony got out of jail. And he had some funny stories about Tony, but they're not my stories. I can't tell them.
I'll have to bring the manager on, do a Tony Sirico night.
there's Vinny Pastore and Vince Caratola. He manages a lot of New York actors. He has some funny stories. Great guy. But yeah, some of the stories I don't know if I could repeat.
Yeah, fair enough. How did because Boardwalk was another show you had auditioned for a couple of times, and that was for Nucky's brother, right?
Yeah, I auditioned for that. Wasn't expecting to get it, but again, I wouldn't have cast me. I would have cast Shay, who was great.
Yeah.
And then I auditioned for something else. Oh, I auditioned for Joe the Boss.
Right.
Again, I was wrong for that, And then I auditioned for one of the brothers, the brothers from Philadelphia. Max Casella played the head brother.
Oh, yeah.
Niro was one of the brothers. A couple other guys. What's his name? Anyway, for that, I auditioned for one of those for the Max Casella's role.
Right. Yeah.
Max got that. Again, I wasn't right for it. They all kind of looked. All those brothers kind of had the same kind of look.
Yeah.
And then the Tonino role came up. I knew it was going to be recurring. I had no idea it was going to go 3 seasons.
Right.
So I was just, it was a recurring the first season, and then the second season after Bobby was gone, I killed him. They kept me around, and I had a contract. I became, I was under contract for this the 4th and 5th season. That I was lucky enough for my character to stay alive and for him to have his own little storyline.
Did you do extra research to play? Because Tonino, is a real guy. I believe he died in the early 30s, right?
No, Tonino wasn't a real guy.
I thought he was a real guy. Okay.
Tonino was an amalgamation, totally.
Okay.
But it's interesting because Tonino, I based Tonino on. I did do a lot of research. I watched the Valachi hearings, Joe Valachi, when he speaks to the McClellan, the Senate Commission.
Yeah.
The way he spoke, I used that kind of.
Because you sound different in it.
An old-fashioned New York accent.
Yeah.
Like my grandparents used, like they would say, instead of toilet, turlet, or
right.
Burl the water, just. In fact, if you watch All in the Family, Archie Bunker.
Yeah. I love that show. Yeah. That's right. The old-fashioned
speech. And I did a lot of research. I research all, I do a lot of research on any character, but I did a lot of that. And but my character, it's interesting because and then I also combined Frank Costello and Vito Genovese into him, because with some of the things that Tonino did were things that either Vito Genovese or Frank Costello did, because when we killed Joe the Boss in Boardwalk Empire, it was Bugsy Siegel and Tonino Sandrelli killed Joe the Boss. In real life, it was Bugsy Siegel, Vito Genovese, either Frank Costello or damn, I can't think of his name now. Not Jimmy Blue Eyes. Anyway, I can't think of his name. But anyway, so
that's all right. It'll come to you.
So right. So Tonino. So in real life, that shooting was, So I took the guys that were in the real shooting and kind of used them as a base. Vito Genovese, that became, the head of the Genovese family. Genovese family was named after him. He was always jealous of Lucky Luciano, and there was always like this weird thing between them. Even though Lucky was his superior, Vito was right below him, and I kind of used that dynamic with me and Bobby in Boardwalk. My character kind of was the Vito Genovese character that was sizing, and Bobby was kind of the Lucky, and in fact, Terry Winter was going to do a show called Havana Nocturne based on the mob in Havana from 1945 to 1959, when Castro took over, through
just before Castro, right?
He threw the gangsters out and took
Yeah.
the casinos back from them. So Terry was going to do a show based on that time frame in Cuba from 46 to 59, and I was up to play the Vito Genovese character. So if I would have got that role, I would have been playing the guy that I based Tonino on, and that Tonino kind of did some of the actions that Vito did in real life.
I see. Rossetti, the character that Cannavale plays, Rossetti. I mean, I don't think I've seen a more vicious gangster. Like, what did you think? I mean, have you seen anyone?
No, Terry wrote that character out of thin air, not based on anything, just total fictitious character. And I think he wrote it with Bobby in mind, actually. And when Terry writes for you specifically as an actor, it's hold on, man, you're gonna go for some ride, because that role was perfect for Bobby, because
he was great in it.
He was great in it, and Terry wrote it for him. So the stars aligned, and he won an Emmy. He won a guest Emmy for it. No, I thought it was great. I thought it was one of the great gangster roles ever on television. That's for sure.
Yeah, but just a ruthless,
and just psychotic, and he played it like
and that whole, like, the way he combined like sex with violence, with the whipping and the choking, and I mean, I thought that was pretty unique. And then it must be because he associated everything was about violence, even sex. I mean, that's pretty dark, That's dark.
And then his home life was just priceless with the demanding wife and mother-in-law that he had to listen to. It was so perfect.
Yeah.
For the writers to throw that into that character, to make him a henpecked,
That's right.
Was just brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, Sopranos was Sopranos, right? And I was younger, and it was, I had done some things, but that was my first major job. Even though I've done a bunch of stuff, but smaller stuff. And the excitement level in that, and just like the pinching yourself level, was just nothing comes close. But Boardwalk was a different situation for me. It was my personal, where I did. I'm proud of my work on Boardwalk more than any work I've done, on anything else. And just that experience for me, being, 15 years later or 12 years later, whenever that was, and me growing as an actor, it was just a whole different dynamic for me. Just as exciting, but I was at a different place. And The Sopranos was definitely more exciting, but I enjoyed as an actor my work.
More. Right, because it was a meatier part. It was
more meatier, right? But it's how could I mean, what could compare to being on The Sopranos, being a young actor and being on The Sopranos, and already it was already popular because I started in season 5, and now 15, 20 years later, it's like the most iconic show ever on TV. It's like I can't believe I was there. Sometimes it's like, holy crap, how lucky was that?
It seems like it's getting bigger.
Saracusa floating around out there. That thank you, Billy Saracusa, wherever.
Yeah, I know. It's almost as if the show's gotten bigger. I mean, there's this.
It's way bigger now.
Yeah,
I was back in New York, and some of my friend at my friend's son's graduation party, and all his college age friends were all freaking out and wanting to take pictures with me because they're such huge fans of The Sopranos. That's like in dorm rooms, college kids are watching The Sopranos now. That's the thing. I have a nephew that's a little older than he's 25, but him and his friends, it's Sopranos is a big thing now. So I'm getting noticed more now than I did.
Oh God, it's funny. It's funny how that works out. I mean, because I watched it when it was on, and it was big then. But I have noticed, you go on Facebook, there's 30 or 35, of thousands of people in these groups talking about Sopranos every day, the Sopranos Con. I talked to Ray Abruzzo about that. Did you enjoy that?
Yo, that was a trip last year.
Yeah.
There's one coming up this year in Atlantic City at Harrah's. I think the 23rd and the 24th and 25th or that weekend. That was a trip, man. I never experienced anything like that. It was like what I imagined being at a Star Trek convention was like, because there was 10,000 people there. It was mob.
Wow.
They were dressed up in character. You know, it was like Becky's. And I had these Australian guys dressed up with like sweatsuits, follow me around trying to do a Brooklyn accent, you know, or a Jersey accent. Well,
oh my God, yeah.
All characters are from Brooklyn, right? The Leotardos were from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So like trying to do that accent, and you know, it was just a blast. It was like, then I would be hanging out with Ray. I'm like, could you believe this? This is like insane. And people like seeing Ray and I together and walking by saying, "Oh, your brother Billy, whatever happened?" That's like that line is like it was written on the wall somewhere. It's like that line is like, you know, it just became like this.
It's like an iconic line now.
Anytime me and Ray Abruzzo together, someone will yell that line.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's pretty incredible. You had mentioned that Buscemi was the best actor you worked with. I mean, what was it about Buscemi that?
I want to say the best. I mean, they're all the best actors. I don't like even using that word. You know,
favorite.
I can't even. I loved working with Bobby too, and Bobby's a great actor.
Yeah.
I answered that question like that because my favorite work that I've done are scenes with Steve.
Right. Oh, I see what you're saying. So it's that, that dynamic.
I had some of my best work with Bobby too. So I really can't. I couldn't pick who's the best actor or who's my favorite actor. You know.
Yeah.
Working with Steve is working with the legend himself. It's like fighting. It's like getting in the ring with the heavyweight champ. You know, I prepared like crazy. You know, for that scene, and you know, it's like
that's a great scene.
In the fight Apollo. Yeah. As long as I don't go down, I'm gonna win. As long as I don't go down. You know, and you know, it worked out great. Steve's a giving actor, very generous, and you know, in the beginning I was a little nervous, but I worked that into the character because you know, he was nervous in that scene. You know, but after 3 seconds, that the nervousness was gone, and we were just. And it's funny, they were shooting my coverage first. For people who don't know, the coverage is the close-up. So usually you'll do the person with the chunkier part of the scene will get their coverage done first. It's usually the lead. They'll shoot all his close-ups. They'll shoot the master, and then they'll shoot his close-ups, and then your close-ups. Yours come last. So they start setting up to shoot my coverage right away, right in the beginning. So I'm like, they're shooting my coverage first. So Steve goes, your coverage, man, it's your scene. You get the coverage first today. It's your scene. So that's how it is. Like, he made me feel like you know. That was a great scene. And again, if you ask me that question today, maybe my favorite scene was with Bobby Cannavale. I don't, you know, it's hard to say, you know. It's like who's the best actor? Like, you know, it's subjective.
Of course, yeah. Do you think Tonino? Did you make a choice that even though Buscemi said, as Nucky said, "Oh, come meet me in the morning," did you believe him, or did you know you were gonna get whacked?
Well, no, that was my pensiveness. You know, you never know when you're dealing with those guys. You never know who you could trust.
Right.
You know,
and that was very much Tonino. He was going and changing alliances, right?
And, you know, growing up where I grew up, you know, you come in contact with people like that. And, you know who to trust and who not to trust. And, you know, the best rule of thumb on the street is don't trust anybody if you don't have to. So knowing who Nucky was and what the situation and the tightrope I was walking, because now I'm playing both ends against the middle now with Luciano and Lansky, and I just killed Joe the Boss. I'm dealing with the most murderous, toughest guys in the history of the mafia. So of course I walk into that meeting. You know, we shook hands, so I felt a little good about it, but I knew there was a problem. And then I looked up at his guy. I knew it was over. The moment, that's the purpose of that whole shot, is when his man is still looking at me after Nucky walks out.
That's right, yeah.
I look up and the realization is, not that I didn't realize it before. I knew something was wrong. But when I look up at him, that's when I know I'm getting killed right at that moment.
Yeah. So it was a beautiful moment. Well, I forget that actor. That he's a great actor too. The guy you look at.
Yeah, he's an acting teacher. He's a very renowned acting teacher. Paul
Calderon. That's it.
Paul Calderon.
Great actor.
Great actor. He actually gave me a little tip in our pickup scene that we did when the scene before that, when I'm walking out of the bar. It's a big crane shot. And he's waiting for me. He calls me over, and I walk over to him by the car, and we talk, and he tells me.
Yeah.
So he tells me, Mr. Thompson wants to see you. And I reacted to him that in the camera rehearsal. He goes to me, can I give you a piece of advice? I'm like, yeah, of course. I knew who he was. And he said, don't react. Just listen to me. Don't even react when I say that. Just look at me and react. And I said, that sounds great. And that's what I did. And I thank him to this day. It was a great piece of advice, and it just worked. There was nothing for me to say at that point. So if you watch that scene again, I'm just silent. Then I just remembered the whole Brando thing. Brando will say, do nothing.
Right.
Do nothing,
Yeah.
Let the audience do the acting for you, It's the same look for this as for that. You know what I mean? So
right.
I just looked at him and I'm thinking, oh, this can't be good. But,
right. But not showing it. Yeah. That did work really well.
Yeah. And that's why he's who he is. And he's an amazing actor. He's been in hundreds of movies and TV.
Oh, yeah. No, he's very good.
I wanted to study with him, too. Even though I teach I would study with Paul if I had the chance still. To this day, he's a master.
Yeah. No, he's very, very good. You and Cannavale found a lot of nice humor as well.
Yes.
I love that scene where you're watching they're doing a little show for you, and Bobby Cannavale doesn't know what the hell they're saying, but it's very beautiful, and then you say, you both look at each other like, what the?
Well, this goes back to the story I told you about what I said before about when the crew guys laugh and the crew guys appreciate what you're doing, you did something good. That actually happened. It's funny that you bring up this scene in this scene. Because it was very scene. She's doing this whole interpretive dance thing. I'm just sitting there like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So I decide, now my line is to say doves, right? But I decide that Tonino is going to be taken with this and really like it. So I wanted to show Tonino had something going on inside, So I'm taken by it. So when he goes, what the hell? What is that? So I looked at him and just went, doves.
Yeah.
Like, wow, we talked about doves. So I just went, doves. The crew guys lost it. When I said doves, they were dying laughing.
So you improvised that, or that was in the script?
No, doves was the line, but it's the way I delivered it that got
right.
Because it was just, he's supposed to say, Bobby says, what the hell was that? Looks at me, and my line to him is doves. But I said I wanted to
I say, yeah.
The doves. That was so I just looked at them. I said, doves, like nice doves. And the crew guy just lost it. The camera operators, the boom guy, everybody. And I still every once in a while on Instagram, someone will, if I post something from Boardwalk, I'll get doves.
Yeah. No, I love that. It really popped out. It's amazing how you could take something off a page and just interpret it, and it will change the way you do it.
Well, the writing, I'm not saying that it wasn't written to be funny, but it could have been. But if you understand that writing, like Terry's writing, David Chase's writing, Matthew Weiner, you understand their writing, you'll pick up on that. They don't tell you, in those kind of scripts, laugh now or be say funny. It's not, it's not. Soap opera scripts. It's it's written. If you're hired on that show, you're expected to mine the information that's written and understand what you're reading, or else you're not going to get any more information to read or lines, right? So it's in there if you find it, and that writing really, you don't have to put too much of a spin on that kind of writing.
Right.
You really don't. You just have to understand what you're saying and say it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's such a well-written show. How was Gretchen Mol to work with?
She was sweet. She was a sweetheart. Really nice. One of the nicest women ever.
She was really very good in the show as well.
Great actor. She's really a sweet, nice person.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a dark character, especially with Michael Pitt as her son.
God. She was nothing like that. She's because that's like not her at all. Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah, just from judging by the other parts that she's played, was very, very different. Wow. How did the part in Wolf of Wall Street come to you? Did you audition for Ellen Lewis?
I did. I auditioned for a bigger role, but the Matthew McConaughey role, they were seeing people for that role, but that, of course, they'll offer a role to someone and they'll still see people for it.
Right.
Especially Scorsese does that. You never know. You catch someone that's, but I mean, I'm sure they were going to use him, the whole time, but I might have read even in the beginning before they went to him on that. But that character in real life, in the book, was totally different. It was more like me. I was that character. The real guy is a lot like me. Like I would be able to play him. He was from Brooklyn. He was a Wall Street guy. His father was like kind of connected in Brooklyn, but he went to Wall Street and a Brooklyn guy on Wall Street kind of thing. Smart guy, but that kind of a bigger guy. Like he was a kind of a big guy.
Right.
So in fact, I met Jordan Belfort.
Oh.
With Terry Winter at some function before that we even shot, before Wolf of Wall Street even shot. And Terry introduced me to him and he goes, "Oh my God, you remind me of my friend," whatever that friend was that Matthew McConaughey played. I forget the character name. But when Jordan met me, he said, not knowing that, I would audition for it later on. So, "Oh my God, you remind me of my friend." I can't remember the guy's name. I sounded like him. I looked like him and everything, So that's why they saw me for that. But then Matthew McConaughey wanted to do a whole new different spin on it, totally different.
Right.
But that guy would have been more of like a Goodfellas thing with the character, the real character. He was like a tough guy kind of thing. So it would have had a little more of a and now that I'm thinking about it, that might have worked too. It would have been a little more of the Jimmy Conway
and
Niro and Ray Liotta dynamic in Goodfellas, the Jimmy Conway and
Jimmy Conway and Henry Hill, yeah.
Right. Yeah. That kind of would have been that dynamic with that character.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
But
it was much more humorous with McConaughey. Yeah.
That wasn't much to that character, but in the book, that character is a major.
Okay, I didn't know that. Huh. And so did you audition with that scene though, and then they gave you the other part?
Scene, I remember auditioning, but all of that stuff wasn't in there. That's all McConaughey.
Yeah,
that wasn't in there. But that scene, I think, that scene when they're having the martinis, that's the scene. And then I went back again. Well, they just said they want you to come in. They want you to play Rocco. They want you to come in. Well, they just offered it. I honestly don't remember if I don't think I auditioned for Rocco. I think my audition previously was enough, and then I had just finished shooting my last episode of Boardwalk, where I killed Cannavale in Breezy Point. I started working on Wolf of Wall Street like 2 days later. I worked on that for 4 weeks. I shot stuff that didn't make it in. There was stuff that I was supposed to shoot that we didn't shoot. I was there. I was on set every day for 4 weeks. So I got paid weekly. I got paid weekly for 4 weeks. I made a decent amount of money on that, even I'm only in it for 5 seconds.
I bet, yeah.
Because I worked on it for 4 weeks. I get a nice residual when it comes in.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, because Stephanie, who is also in it, she said she was there for 10 weeks. Even same thing. She's 5 minute scene, but I mean, so there was a
Hurricane Sandy hit. So and then Hurricane Sandy hit right during shooting. So they went down for a week, and then I still got that week too. And I think that's why it was 4 weeks total. I might have been on set for 3 and the week on hold for something like that. But
yeah.
But your initial question was how did I get? So I finished there and went right to, and a lot of crew switched over too, because a lot of the crew that works for Marty works on Boardwalk also. The script.
Oh, right, of course, yeah.
And a lot of the, so it was like I was working on Boardwalk again, like on the set. It felt like
that must have been
like everybody's
nice,
there.
Yeah.
Just,
and so you had mentioned that there was a lot of improvisation, but were they done on set and then they scripted what you guys said and shot it, or was there separate rehearsal days?
Well, I didn't have separate rehearsal days, but how Scorsese shoots is when he ad-libs, you don't ad-lib when he's shooting.
Right, yeah.
You ad-lib during rehearsals. They write it into the script. Even Am I a clown? Do I amuse you? Like that whole scene?
Yeah, it's all separate. Yeah.
In rehearsal, Pesci did that, and then it wrote in, and then they write it in. So you don't.
Yeah.
But my scene, the scene where I'm doing my, when I'm sitting in the guard booth looking at the screen, that was all improv. There was no scripted lines in that scene. So that just was improv. It said like where they wanted me to go with it, and then I just, I shot that for 3 days. They kept moving walls and changing positions. I mean, I shot that for 3 days. I went, I started like, I just went on and I don't even remember what I said, but, then you're like, wow, you're 3 seconds, but that it worked. And, he used it. And he shot that interestingly because my scene, when I'm looking at the screen, that's closed circuit. They're actually shooting the scene up at the house. The same time I was shooting that. So as they're shooting, and I'm watching on the camera of her opening her legs and him saying, they're actually shooting that as I'm commenting. And so second unit camera was shooting that scene. And then radioing, Marty saying, I tell him to do it again, do this, change it, do that, so. Then he would come down and check and look, and then we'd go back because he was direct. They were shooting both at the same time.
Oh, that must have been so helpful for you to have it right in front of you, right? And so
you can, and I'm listening on the radio because when they would shoot, he'd be back up inside location at that scene watching them shoot. So I hear on the radio, yeah, great, look, he's great, he's good, he did great. I'm like, oh. Like, let him do it again.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did they say, because the improvs you were doing, did they say, okay, stick to exactly what you said? No, was it just loose, a little loose?
One time I started calling DiCaprio's character. I was like, look at this asshole. Look. No, don't call him an asshole. He's the producer, too far, I'm not calling DiCaprio an asshole. I was calling the character, but
yeah.
Look, if I'm the security guard in the guardhouse, I'm watching on a closed circuit TV, and that's my boss, I would say something like that. I wouldn't just say, "You're such a great boss," look at this.
Of course, yeah.
That's what a guy like that would say, but I can understand it. They didn't use that, but it's true.
Hey. Did you get to know DiCaprio at all, or Margot Robbie?
Not really. Hello, hi, goodbye. Hello, how you doing?
Because you were in the second unit, right? So.
Oh well, no, I shot stuff first unit too. I was in scenes with them sitting right next to them in the cast chair. Yeah, that one scene they were up there, but again, I was on set for 3-4 weeks, so there was other scenes that. In fact, the scene where he tries to take off in the car with this kid, and they take the kid out. I was supposed to jump into the car and grab the kid out. But the maid ended up doing it. We didn't shoot that. And I don't know. It was very chaotic. It's not as organized a set as I.
Yeah.
That's because Marty's like, you know, an artist. It's just everything's happening like, and things just change on the fly. You know, I put a wardrobe, and then I would change it, go into some other wardrobe, and then come and sit, and then we're not shooting that scene. We're shooting in the morning, and then I come back in the morning. We're not shooting that scene. We're going right to that. So that scene didn't get shot.
Wow. Yeah, it was really all over the place, eh?
I had stuff that got cut. I had 3 scenes that never even got shot in the first place. So, but you know, whatever. I get paid, and since the movie made $500 million and I worked on it for 4 weeks, I get a nice residual check every once in a while.
Nice, very nice. Why do you think it was so up and down? He was just changing his mind, or was the script changing, or?
Well, Marty doesn't stick to the script. He does a lot of improv, you know, but the improv isn't done in the shooting. It's done, and then it's got to be written in, and then it's got to be shot. So, you know, he shoots a lot of stuff. Like he did. Yeah. There's a scene of DiCaprio walking out of the house into the limo. He's holding a mimosa, you know, going to work in the morning.
Oh yeah.
He talks into camera, right?
Yeah.
Tosses the glass.
Oh, at the house, yeah.
Gets into the car. I was there for shooting that. And I had just got to set when they were shooting. That was my first day on set. I got there. They're shooting that scene. He shot that 25 takes, just walking out of the house. 25.
Oh my God. I don't know where does he get the energy at his age?
26. So yeah, a lot of stuff gets shot. A lot of stuff doesn't even make it.
Right.
Because whatever he wanted to shoot 26 takes of, now you don't got time to shoot that scene. So that scene's gone. You know?
I see.
So I had a lot of my scenes hacked right out of the script.
I see.
Not a lot, a few.
Right.
So, you know, I was expecting to be in it a lot more.
Yeah. Right. But still, hey, I mean, you know, because you had said you were working at a movie theater seeing Raging Bull, and there you go, Frank Vincent and Scorsese you worked with, right? So that's amazing.
Pretty amazing, right? Absolutely. To work. I remember driving to set the first day to Wolf of Wall Street. I couldn't believe it. I was on my way to work on a Martin Scorsese movie. You know?
Unbelievable.
Came true.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Are you still driving your motorcycle?
I still have it. Yeah, I take it out once in a while. Not as much as I used to, but
nice.
I still take it out and cruise around. Nothing crazy. I just tool around town with it. Go down to Malibu, up PCH. I don't get on freeways and just, you know,
right,
nail it. I'm not into that. I like just, you know, cruising. You know.
Very nice. Well, Chris, you know, thanks so much for spending so much time with me and these great stories.
Was a long time. Jeez, I hope I didn't talk too much.
No, not at all. Not at all. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time. These are
not at all. It's just a lot of fun.
I appreciate you opening up about your life and career, and these were such great stories. Just lastly, because we had mentioned it off the top, so you have Made in Chinatown is out now, right?
Yes, Made in Chinatown. Also starring Vinny Pastore, who played Big Pussy on Sopranos, and Tony Darrow, who played, I forget his character on Sopranos, but he's from Goodfellas also. Tony Darrow played Sonny, the guy who owned the restaurant. If you remember. Oh,
yeah, of course, yeah. I know what you mean, yeah.
He played I can't think of his character in Sopranos.
Yeah, neither can I, but I certainly remember him in Sopranos as well.
Tony's he's my idol. I love him. He's just the best. We're very close. We talk all the time. But yeah, we shot that in Philadelphia about two summers ago. It was supposed to be Chinatown, New York, but we shot in Chinatown, Philly. At that point, it was easier for them to shoot there, or it was cheaper for the tax breaks at that point. And so that took a while to come out because of COVID and everything. So that was just released. It's streaming everywhere. It's on demand, Hulu, YouTube, Amazon Prime. I think it'll go to Netflix next month. But
great!
See it anywhere right now.
It's
funny. It's a screwball, over the top comedy. A lot of tongue-in-cheek inside jokes. They hired a lot of Sopranos actors because there's the joke in that, you know, it's about a Chinese kid who wants to join the mob, right? and he's obsessed with mob movies, and his posters are all Goodfellas and Sopranos, and then he starts hanging out in Little Italy trying to be a mob guy, an Italian mob guy, and he starts running into these characters who look like the guys in the poster. Kind of got that freshman vibe a little. With,
with Matthew Broderick,
kind of that
Brando,
like, playing that kind of thing. So, but it's like if you took a mob comedy and put it together with a kung fu movie, that's what you got here. I mean, there's a crazy kung fu fight at the end where people are flying around, and it's just
that sounds fun. Awesome. So that and what are you working on now? Is this film Oil Run? Are you doing that? Is that been shot yet?
Oil Run is still it's still in development. They're trying to bring that along, but there's another film being made by the guys who made Made in Chinatown, the producer and writer who did Made in Chinatown, called Mileage. So I'm already attached to that. It's a crime thriller. They're going to be shooting Hudson Valley, New York. Late summer, early fall, and there's a couple other projects. Terry Winter has a couple of projects, possible projects coming up that I'd be involved with if they come to fruition.
Great!
Yeah, it'll be kind of it'll be in the mob genre, maybe something for Showtime or something like that. So I can't say too much about it, but if you like Boardwalk Empire and stuff like that, you're going to love it.
Wow. Well, that'll be very, very cool. I'm looking forward.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to that for sure. Chris, again, thanks so much. This been a great chat. And for those of you who left comments and questions, thanks so much in the comment box. And if you haven't already done so, if it's your first time on my video podcast here, you can please subscribe by pressing the subscribe button, which you can find right in the description box below, and then click the bell in order to get a notification every time I go live or release a regular video. And I'm also now on MobFi TV, which is an entertainment app. And the link to get that free entertainment app is in the description box below. All right. Well, Chris, thanks again. I'll have to have you back again sometime for sure.
Absolutely. Love to.
All right. Great. Well, thanks so much, and see everyone soon.